What if I told you everything we know about the zombie storyline is a lie? What if I said the only side we can fight for is our own? Hi guys, Brad here with something new. As some of you know, I have been a COD Zombies fan since Knocked. During this time, I have tried to develop my own theories. It's been kind of weird because, as we know, we kind of knew nothing about the storyline until the timeline came out. Like, we had no idea which direction it would go in. But over this 10 years of zombies being out, I have developed my own theory about what's going to happen. We had no idea about the Primus cycle until Revelations, when we see our Primus crew get teleported to the Great War. This is also when we find out that Dr. Monty might not actually be a good person. He has led us on to believe that he is. He says he wants a better universe for humanity, but let's be honest here, guys. How can Monty want a better universe for humanity? Like, how can he want a better universe for anybody? He's immortal. He can't have human emotion like we do. He can't experience life because everything's disposable to him. We're clearly disposable to him because he can just teleport us to the Great War. There's honestly, it makes no sense to me how makes no sense for how he can say he wants it to be good, but he can have for any creature. He can't feel emotion for any creature because he's immortal. And yes, he does want us to help he wants us to help him stop the Shadow Man from taking over Agartha, but he put us in the cycle knowingly, not just because of the blood vials, but think about it. We are the only threat to him besides the Shadow Man. Like, we know everything, especially Richtofen. He knows everything on how to stop Monty. So the only reason he would send us back is because he knows that we can stop him. We can stop this cycle from continuing. Without the help of the Shadow Man, the Chronorium can tell Richtofen the cycle. That's what's been going on. That's how Richtofen knew about the cycle. Now, there's a quote where Richtofen says something about him owing a promise to someone. And the Shadow Man even says this too. I believe it's in Blood of the Dead where he says this. I'm hoping he'll remember the promise he made to me. This promise could be him taking over Agartha. Think about it. That's what the Shadow Man wants. Not just Agartha, but the entire Aether as a whole. He wants control of the entire universe. And there's no definitive proof that this is the Shadow Man that he made the promise to, but I'm pretty sure we can all guess. Who else would he make a promise to? Monty? Why would he make a promise to Monty when Monty just sends him back in time? Like, he knows what's gonna happen. And we also know that if the Shadow Man gets complete control of the Aether and Agartha, he basically has control of the universe, because that's what the Aether is. He has the summoning key because he was trapped inside of it from the crew we see in Shadows of Evil, and Richtofen takes it. This is a part of the manipulating. He wanted to get trapped in the summoning key because he knew that Richtofen would come for it. He knew that Richtofen would teleport to Shadows of Evil, take the summoning key, and then that's how he's able to fulfill the rest of his plan. And for those that don't know, the forest in the cutscenes that we see, that's the Aether. That's when they're inside of, when they're just sitting there in the forest with the fire. And in one of these cutscenes, Richtofen says in a quote, talking about Monty, he thinks I do not know, but I do. The blood will protect me. This is referring to the blood vials. Now, I honestly believe that the only reason Richtofen continued this cycle is because he's scared of dying. He's scared of death. This could have something to do with this promise. If the Shadow Man grants Richtofen the ability not to die after he gets control of the Aether, that could have been like a little exchange that they made. The Shadow Man sometimes talks highly of Richtofen, and one time he even goes as far as calling him more than just his friend. He called him his apprentice. The Shadow Man manipulated Rick, and he could have done this when he was in the MPD on Moon. Like, he heard all the voices of corruption, just like Samantha, including the Shadow Man. If this is true, and if all this manipulating stuff is correct, then this means Monty has nothing to do with the cycle. This means that the Shadow Man has orchestrated how this cycle goes. Monty just repeats it over and over again, which helps the Shadow Man decide where to place everybody. Which makes him the architect of the cycle. The Shadow Man also knew that the Mob of the Dead cycle, them getting the blood from the mobsters, would help complete the cycle, in turn giving him more time to plan everything out, because the blood is what allowed them to continue the cycle, allowing Rick to read the Canorium and learning about the cycle and how to repeat it. This way the Shadow Man can just get closer and closer to his goal, which is taking over the Aether, taking over the universe. Now let's take a step back here. Let's go back to Blood of the Dead. The crew thinks that they have to defeat the Warden. That's what they think. They have to kill Brutus to stop whatever's going on. But we hear Brutus talking about this is his life sentence. This is what he needs to do. And if you listen to some of the voice recordings on Blood, you can hear the Shadow Man, after you complete the Easter egg, you can hear the Shadow Man talking to Brutus, telling him what he needs to do, and talking about how this is a trap for Richtofen. So this entire time, when we thought that we had to kill Brutus to stop it, it was just a trap. Putting Richtofen in the dark mechanism and killing him was Brutus's goal all along. That was Brutus's life sentence. The Shadow Man knew that the Weasel had a chance of breaking the Mob of the Dead cycle by killing everybody and staying alive. This is who the bird is on Blood of the Dead. He names himself Icarus because of the plane, and we see the rest of the monsters towards the end of the Easter egg carrying Brutus because they're still stuck in purgatory. They're still reliving what they had to go through in Mob day after day because they didn't break the cycle. Weasel did. That's how he's allowed to roam free as the bird. So the Shadow Man knew that Weasel would help them get out of the cell because he does not want them to suffer the same hellish suffering that he suffered in purgatory. He knew that the Weasel would feel bad enough to shock them out of the cells and follow Brutus. That's why Brutus took the path, because how else would they know? Richtofen knew the ice pod was there, but he also thought that the post-revelations Richtofen would help him. So he had no idea that he was just getting lured into a trap. The Shadow Man needed Richtofen's blood because of all the etherical energy that it had stored in it, because of all the time travel, teleporting, all of the... Every time he teleported, whether it was back in time or to a different location, it infused his blood with more and more etherical energy. This etherical energy is what gives the Shadow Man the ability to travel to Agartha to stop Monty. And if you think about it, the Shadow Man, throughout all these maps you've seen him in, he plays the devil's advocate. He plays the devil, but this is not the case. He's not the devil. The entire purpose of these maps was so that Richtofen would die and suffer. The entire purpose of these maps was so that the Shadow Man could get his blood. The Shadow Man intended this ending to happen. He didn't care about them repenting their sins. All of this was just a trap, leading to this exact moment. This exact moment we see Richtofen bleeding out in the end cutscene, in the crew teleporting out. He planned for all of this to happen. Like I said, the Shadow Man never cared about the characters and if they were trapped in purgatory. His main goal this entire time was to get control of the Aether. Shadows of Evil, he never cared about them repenting their sins. He just did that so he could use them. Now, with the help of the Shadow Man manipulating our characters, they're going after Monty, when in reality, I think they should be going after both. Dr. Monty is corrupted and he only wants what he wants to happen. That means he only wants the perfect universe. If you think about it, Monty's like an immortal Hitler. His intentions might not be as pure as he makes them out to be when we first see him. And this is where him and the Shadow Man feud come in place. The Shadow Man knows that he cannot defeat Monty alone and that he needs the Primus and Ultimus crew, mainly the Primus crew, to help him out. And this is kind of where my theory begins. After Blood of the Dead post-Revelations Richtofen lets Nick read the Canorium, learning what he needs to do. The Canorium only lets a reader with a soul know what they need to know. It only lets them read what it wants them to read. The next time we see our crew is picking up Ultimus and Classified, and Nikolai talks about them going to the Great War. Now in Blood of the Dead, we see Richtofen raise the stone, the post-revelation Richtofen raising the stone to kill all of the enemies besides the Brutus. And this is just speculation, but this could be the original Firestone for the Fire Staff. Not the one we see on Origins, because those are just remakes. I'm talking about the original staff that we see at the end of the Revelations Easter egg in the end cutscene. This could mean that for the future of the storyline, we need to collect the rest of the original staff stones. This could mean that three remastered maps are going to have these stones. Not that the cycle is broken, there's going to be something different about those maps, and one of the differences could be the stones being there. Like in Blood, we see them picking the Firestone out, so we could see them taking the Ice Stone out on Call of the Dead, and we could see them taking the Windstone out from Die Rise. Once they're all collected, the Shadow Man will try to tell us to construct a machine to harness all of their powers that will be able to kill Dr. Monty. And of course, like they've been doing this entire time, they're going to listen to the Shadow Man. They're going to build it. And towards the end of the Great War Easter egg, we're going to figure out that Nikolai has to do it, because he's the only one that kept his soul. He's the only one that stayed pure throughout this entire thing. If you think about it, Nikolai he's had a troubling past. The 4 wives, I think both the Nikolais have had trouble with wives taking children away from him. He's had a troubled past, but yet throughout this entire thing, he's managed to stay pure. At the very point he's about to kill Monty, Samantha is gonna walk out and tell him that the Shadow Man's been manipulating them the entire time, and she knows this because she was in the MPD before Richtof, and she was able to hear all the voices of corruption, including the Shadow Man, so she knows how manipulative he can be. So she's gonna tell Nikolai that he needs to kill the Shadow Man. And this is where we're stuck. This is where Nikolai, the person playing Nikolai, has to make the choice. Is he gonna kill the Shadow Man, or is he gonna kill Monty? Each one will end the storyline in a very different way, ending the storyline no matter which one you choose. What would you guys choose? Make sure to tell me in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Tell me if you want to see more of these. I really enjoyed recording this, writing the script for it. It was very enjoyable. So if you guys want to see more of this, tell me in the comments, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video.